Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm being joined by a guest. His name is Zachary.
Hello there.
Alright, so today, as you can tell by the title, is a Five Nights at Freddy's podcast. But before we go into that, I'm gonna link Zachary's YouTube channel in the description down below. He does playthroughs for games like Unturned, Smite, The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. So if you like that type of stuff, you can go and watch his videos. I will also link his Instagram for those of you who are interested. Okay, so Zach, can you please introduce us to some of the characters in Five Nights at Freddy's so that we can go on and have a chat about them?
Yeah, sure. In this video today we'll be discussing characters such as the Puppet, Mangle, and Springtrap, although there are many extensive lists of characters out there.
Yep, so those are going to be like the three main characters we talk about, but obviously we're going to talk about more. The first character we're going to go on about is Mangle. Now, to do this, we're going to sort of start off by talking about the bite of 87 first. Now, in the first game, the phone guy sort of says that the Five Nights at Freddy's had to close down after the bite of 87. And he also mentions, the frontal lobe is a very key part of the human brain. Zach, can you please explain what the frontal lobe has to do with Mangle?
Yeah, the frontal lobe is very important for this character itself because in the jump scare that is shown in FNAF 2, is clearly depicted that Mangle jumps high above the character and aims for the very top of the head, which is where the frontal lobe is at. So it's kind of clear, or it's hinted at, that the Mangle was the cause of this bite.
Yes. However, there's a bit of confusion because let's go to FNAF 4. In FNAF 4, there's an Easter egg on the TV screen. If you like wave your mouse around, sort of get this Easter egg saying something like Freddy and Friends TV show 1983, which is a bit weird because obviously I'm sure if you've watched the sort of YouTubers play it, at the end of the game we get a bite from Golden Freddy, and a lot of people at first glance were like, the bite of 87, that's the bite of 87. And the theory to support this is because when the game got released originally, if you check the source code for the video, there's 87 splattered all over the screen, and that's an Easter egg added by the game's creator, Scott Cawthon. And also the posters for this game had the caption on each one of them, was it me, or was it me, which indicates, the game is sort of focusing on, was it me that did the bite of 87? And that's pretty interesting. But the weird thing is that it takes place in 1983, or so we think, but is this the bite of 87? Zach, could you elaborate?
No one really knows for sure if this is really the bite of 87. Because there's many confusions and conflicting interests, as you have mentioned. But I don't know, man. Is it really the bite of 87?
Well, we will never know, but we know that FNAF 2 takes place in 1987. It's mentioned somewhere in the game by the phone guy. But is it really? I don't know. It's one of the weird things about Five Nights at Freddy's, but a very sensible and logical theory is that the 1983 Easter egg is sort of like a rerun of an old TV show. It doesn't necessarily mean that the situation was in 1983. Could still be in 1987. But then that brings us back to the question, was it Golden Freddy or Mangle? Personally, Zach, what do you think?
I would say it's Mango because in references in in references in FNAF 1, it refers to the Bite of 87 and it refers very closely to Foxy. And Mango is like the more broken version of Foxy, as you can is shown in like the many illustrations of him. It's even shown that in FNAF 1, Mango is depicted in certain areas of the map when you look at them. And so I think it's Mango, but I really can't say for sure.
Right, so I'm gonna agree with you because I think there's a lot of confusion on the 83, 87 stuff, and it is just a bit sort of weird for Golden Freddy to have taken a bite. I mean, it is a really confusing situation, and I don't know if Scott Cawthon meant for this to be his plan or whatever, but Mangle does seem the real one due to explanations just mentioned by Zach. And also something we mentioned earlier is that the jump scare is attacking the frontal lobe as well. So yeah, I think that's the first sort of chapter of this podcast completed. Let's move on to the next part. We're going to be talking about Springtrap or Spring Bonnie, Golden Bonnie, whatever you want to call him. Zach, could you tell us which game this character appears in and what is his role?
Okay, in FNAF 3, Springtrap makes his grand appearance, and it is speculated by many that Springtrap is actually the purple guy. Because at the end of FNAF 2, if you play the minigames, you'll realize that the purple guy is in this Golden Freddy suit, and he dies in the Golden Freddy suit. So Springtrap is very close resemblance to that. So many people have rumored that Springtrap is actually the purple guy.
Yeah, so couldn't have said it better myself. Actually, it's the minigames in FNAF 3 rather than FNAF 2, but you know what, same thing. But you know, it's interesting because we don't know for sure. Like, we'll never know for sure, but we can always only speculate on these things until the day Scott Cawthon comes out and just says this stuff. But yeah, I do think that the purple guy is Springtrap, and Springtrap, to make sense of it all, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is the last in the timeline, so it would make sense for Springtrap, the purple guy, to be in the Springtrap suit because he can't do anything anymore, and there's no continuation after FNAF 3. But we're just gonna move on to the purple guy and talk about him. Basically, Zach, could you introduce us to the purple guy?
Okay, the purple guy is rumored to be many characters. Throughout the series, he has been rumored to be the phone guy, to be the security guard who you play as in FNAF 1 or 2, I cannot really remember. And he's also finally put into the Springtrap suit and killed. So the purple guy is actually the main character in so-called the main character who murders the 4 children in this entire FNAF series.
Five children. Not
sorry,
4.
5 children.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, perfect explanation there. Yeah, of course, credit to MatPat for coming up with all those theories on who the purple guy is. But yeah, he's the one who's rumored to have murdered the children, and you know, it's very confusing. You know, how they got in the suits and stuff. Obviously, a big center part of the storyline is sort of the theory and stuff, because the phone guy mentions the suits began to smell. When the suits began to smell, people sort of thought, yeah, that's the dead bodies reeking inside. But you know, in the minigame in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, right? They have minigames, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so in one of the minigames, you are acting as the puppet, marionette, whatever. And basically, the game is called Give Life. So, in this game, you are giving the suits to the other four dead kids, and the other four kids make up the four animatronics from the original game. However, the interesting part is that people thought that it was sort of just like they transformed into those animatronics, but the real one that the game theorist Matt Pat mentioned as well is that in the minigame, the marionette is giving the suits to the kids. So basically, he is the one that's stuffing the bodies into the animatronics, and that does make a lot of sense to me and stuff. Also, another interesting thing that happens in that minigame is right at the end, once you're done giving the four animatronic suits, there's a fifth dead kid that pops up out of nowhere, and Golden Freddy pops up. So that kid is meant to be the Golden Freddy. Yeah. Speaking of Golden Freddy, there's sort of like a unused exoskeleton in the game. Zach, can you tell us how Golden Freddy and that exoskeleton relate? Yeah.
So Golden Freddy is like an exoskeleton that is depicted in the games because he is a lifeless figure.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting about the character. But there's still a lot of weird things about Golden Freddy and stuff. But we're not experts. We're not gonna elaborate on that too much. But we're gonna move on and onto the most talked about character in the game, the purple guy. So, Zach, what do you think about the purple guy?
The purple guy. The purple guy is a very interesting character because he could be anyone. Honestly, his character description and hints of him throughout the game give him very interesting character traits, and much like how he's depicted in the mini games. He's speculated to be the phone guy because in his hand, although it's rather pixelated, you can see kind of like a phone-shaped thing that looks like a crescent moon in his hand, which lead people to think that he was the phone guy in FNAF 1 or 2.
Credit to Matt Pat for that one. So right now we're just going to end up with the conclusion on who we think the character is, and I can't agree more with Zach. I think it is the phone guy. For me, though, the biggest hint is not the thing about the phone in his hand. I mean, that's a pretty interesting hint, but for me, the biggest hint is the phone guy in FNAF 2, I believe. He mentions, he says something like, Foxy was always my favorite, right? Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the phone guy mentions that. And in one of the mini games, you play as Foxy, and the purple guy appears at the side, and he's smiling. He's smiling when Foxy leaves like his pirate cove. So this is the biggest giveaway for telling us that the phone guy is the purple guy. But it's not that simple to piece together, obviously, because one occurred in the first game, one occurred second game, third game, sort of had to piece the puzzles together. But credit to Scott Cawthon for sort of making up this great idea and stuff. So let's move on swiftly to the timeline of this FNAF series. So, Zach, could you tell us what order the games are in?
Yeah, thanks to Scott here, we've been presented with a very interesting timeline. Normally, games go according to 1, 2, 3, and 4, but thanks to Scott, we've been presented with a 4, 1, no, it was actually a 4, 4, 2, 1, and 3.
Yes.
Which is very confusing to most people.
Yeah. I think we're gonna just quickly explain why each game is in its place in the timeline. Basically, the reason why number 2 comes before number 1 is because the animatronics are toy animatronics there, and in the game, obviously, it's mentioned that in 2 it is mentioned that there's a brand new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opening up, and that refers to number 1, right? So
yeah.
And a very interesting thing, and the biggest giveaway that number 2 is before number 1, is the fact that in number 1, on the 4th night, the phone guy dies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The phone guy dies. You know that. And obviously it's kind of obvious, but the phone guy is Springtrap, so we're guessing in that situation, while he was recording, he was being put into the Springtrap suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's quite a big hint there.
Yeah. And in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you can still hear the phone guy. So obviously, phone guy can't come back from the dead or whatever. So he appears before FNAF 1. And Zach, could you explain why FNAF 3 is the last in the franchise?
Yes, because in FNAF 3, none of the other characters show up. It's just Springtrap, and you can see it's a broken Springtrap. This is reference to FNAF 2, where... Wait, oh my god, which was the game with... It was FNAF 2 with the mini-games, right?
Yeah, and FNAF 3 also.
Yeah, it was FNAF 2 and FNAF 3, where it depicts that a purple guy is put into a Golden Freddy suit, where it malfunctions and causes him to die in it. So FNAF 3 is basically a depiction of the Springtrap, who is now an attraction to a haunted house.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the new phone guy mentions it. But yeah, something I can't really explain is why FNAF 4 is the first in the franchise. However, a few minutes ago, I did think of the answer to that. Basically, if you listen to the names of the restaurants closely, FNAF 2 is the second in the franchise. We know that because 3 is the latest. 1 comes after 2, but we don't know where 4 goes yet. FNAF 2, the phone guy says they rebuilt from a place called Fredbear's Family Diner, and that is the name of the restaurant in FNAF 4. So FNAF 4 had Fredbear's Family Diner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and then it went to the toy animatronics in FNAF 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
it was FNAF 3, which was the Springtrap in his haunted house.
Yeah, and between 2 and 3 there was of course 1, but I guess 2 and 1 sort of go together anyway. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. That was interesting. Great talk. Very cooperative of Zach to join me for this podcast. As mentioned, his Instagram will be in the link in the description down below. His YouTube channel will also be there. Go and give him a subscribe. He has very entertaining content. If you enjoy long playthroughs, they're pretty enjoyable. In other words, Zach, would you like to say goodbye?
This has been a great experience collaborating with Shuban here. I hope we can have more videos like this, and this is Epsilonzac signing out.
Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out! Starts with a D, and a D is a smaller version of a B, And bomb starts with B and has two B's in it. It's a bomb! As you can tell, we're a bit low on budget this time.